Thank you, John.
Thank you.
I'll just share my screen as well. Thank you, everyone, for
Sure.
having me today.
Sure.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So generally speaking, healthy eating is a very broad topic because healthy is very specific to the person. What you need to be healthy is sometimes different to what the person next to you needs to be healthy. And so I guess if you have very specific questions, I'd say you can take my number from John and text me after and we can talk about it. But if you have general questions, feel free to interrupt me anytime and we can talk about it. I'll start with this little picture, and it's very true. Don't forget you are what you eat. And then, someone just replying, I need to eat a skinny person. So basically, being overweight as a general principle is not good. It's unhealthy. So we always want to be in a healthy BMI. And a good BMI is between 18.5 to 24.9 kilograms per meter squared. And you can calculate your BMI by dividing your weight over your height squared. Or you can just go into Google and you can type in your weight and your height and it'll tell you what your BMI is. And that is a good gauge to see, do you need to lose weight or are you already healthy? So one thing I want to talk about is this concept of dieting. Dieting is not actually a good thing. You don't want to be in a cycle where you're always dieting and you're always gaining weight, then losing weight, then gaining weight, then losing weight. It's not a good environment to be in for your body, and it's not a good environment to be for your mental health. You want to be in a place where you are eating for your health and not for a diet. So step one would be to just avoid this whole principle of dieting, learn how to eat healthy, learn how to exercise well, and implement that into a lifestyle. And as the last talk spoke, also sleeping. Sleeping is very important too. So the first thing I want to talk about is just try not to go into this cycle of dieting, yo-yoing. It's not a good place to be. You want to just have a good balance with everything. So I guess a good rule would be 80-20. So 80% of the time you're eating well, and then 20% of the time, you can have a bit of musiba. But generally it needs to be 80% healthy. So to start achieving good health, if you're overweight, definitely try and lose weight. So you do this by losing about half a kilo to a kilo per week is a good start. Obviously, it depends where you are on your BMI, how overweight you are. If you're not overweight, if you're a healthy BMI, that's good. Just maintain by changing your foods and making sure you have better foods. You can have small, frequent meals. You don't have to. I mean, there's lots of different arguments about small, frequent meals or intermittent fasting, and they're both good. They both have merit. But the idea is what you eat is healthy. The idea of small, frequent meals, the rationale behind it is if you fast, some people will go and have a big bad meal, a big musiba meal. Some people do that. And to avoid that, you have small, frequent meals to avoid that situation. But for people that have good control, then intermittent fasting is a good option too, which is pretty much you only eat within a certain time window. You find what works for you, but regardless, if you do intermittent fasting or small frequent meals, it has to be clean food. Lots of fiber. Fiber is very healthy. I read that twice by accident, sorry. But yeah, lots of fiber. Fiber you can get from your vegetables, your salads, the fruit with the skin on it. You can get it from your grains as well, like oats, wheat bix, lots of different sources. The fiber has a benefit of keeping you full. It has a benefit for your blood sugar levels, like regulating it. It has a benefit for your cholesterol. It has lots of benefits for your gut health. In fact, I just watched a talk by a PhD dietitian, and he linked the gut microbiome with lots of good evidence to mental health. And there's lots of good evidence, consistent evidence that shows that people with a bad microbiome, which is just the bacteria in their guts, there's a higher incidence of anxiety and depression. And with a healthy diet, one that is also high in fiber, you can actually change this microbiome, the gut bacteria, and it actually helps your mental health. And the gut microbiome is involved all over your body, but just in regards to mental health specifically, a healthy diet can help. Have lots of water. This is something that everybody struggles with, myself included. 2.8 liters, 2.5, more than 2 as a general rule, more than 2 liters of water. It's something we all struggle with. You don't have to have just plain water. If you want, you can have sparkling water. You can have mineral water. You can have sparkling or mineral water with like lemon, fresh lemon in it. You can have hot water. Tea and coffee, you can count that as a small portion of it, but I wouldn't make your entire fluid intake based on tea or coffee. You want to have some plain water. I would avoid things like tonic water. Tonic water has lots of sugar, but mineral water and sparkling water are fine. Eat less bad fats. So things like anything fried, anything battered, fast foods, these all have very bad fats. In lieu of that, have good fats. Good fats are like avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil. Have lots of good fats, not lots of bad fats. They have the same weight in terms of calories, so they'll impact your weight similar, but it has a different impact on your cholesterol levels. So the bad fats affect your LDL cholesterols, and the good fats affect your HDL cholesterols. Eat less sugar. So sugar is, I think, unanimously decided across everyone as not a good thing, because lots of things in diet, because you read online, if you ever read online, it's all very controversial in the sense that someone might talk about one aspect of nutrition, then someone else opposes it, and it can get very confusing. All of these are very basic principles, and they're all true. And eat less sugar is definitely one of them. If you ever like documentaries, there's a good documentary called That Sugar Film. Just watch it out of interest, but pretty much, yeah, sugar will do you no benefit. It's not good to have. You can have carbohydrates. That's different to refined sugar. So if you have pasta or rice in moderation, that's good. But if you have things like soft drinks and lollies and chocolate, that's what we would classify as musiba food, and that's not good to have. Exercise daily. So we have a physio here, which is great. So he can go through the exercise more. And yeah, back to the fiber point, so which I wrote twice. So three things to factor in with your food. So the type of food you're eating. So just classify your food. Is it something healthy? Is it a salad with some fish on it, with something very healthy, or is it a burger? Just first categorize. Are you having a clean food, a clean dish, or is it a musiba dish? And then factor in if that's in your 80 or 20, so that you're not deceiving yourself into having unhealthy food but classifying it as healthy. Healthy food really is not processed. It's something in its raw form. It's something that has lots of salad of vegetables and some fruit involved too. So that's important, the type of food you're eating. The quantity. So even if you have a musiba, but you have a tiny bit, it's not that bad. And even if you have healthy food, but you have too much, the fact that it's making you put on weight, that's not good either. So for example, if you like fish, which is great, it's really healthy, and you're having grilled fish, but you're having, 2 kilos a day, that's not good. So you've got to really monitor your portion control. A big part of, if you're overweight and you're trying to lose weight, is portion control. So that's really important to keep in mind. And of course, how you cook the food. Are you deep frying it, or are you grilling it? Are you steaming it? Are you boiling it? Or are you putting samna all over it? That's just another question. So obviously you want to grill, you want to steam, boil, that's all good. Or even use the air fryer if you're into the air fryer these days. But avoid deep frying and putting butter on top of your food as well. Another aspect is emotional eating. So a lot of us will emotionally eat, especially in COVID. We're all battling a little bit of boredom, a little bit of mental health because of just being confined in 4 walls all day. And it's very common practice for us to just start having junk food because it makes you feel good, releases chemicals and it makes you feel good. But then you end up in gaining weight, and then you end up trying to diet to lose weight, and you end up in that really vicious cycle we're trying to avoid. So just some questions. And if anyone wants this at the end of today, just tell John and I'll send it to John, and you can have it. But just try and identify when you get hungry, are you actually hungry, or are you just emotional eating? And I guess just if I picked a couple of points here, if you're physically hungry and your body needs food, it's gradual. It doesn't go up all of a sudden. If I'm physically hungry, then if I don't eat now, then in 1 hour, I'll be a little bit more hungry. And in 3 hours, I'll be more hungry. But psychological hunger or emotional eating just happens random. It just comes now. And it's always for something very specific. You'll be like, I want a hot dog, or something like that. Or I want some chocolate. It's not actual physical hunger. It's just an emotional response to your environment. Physical hunger, you'll have anything if you're hungry. I think in Arabic it's called al-ja'an yakul hagar. I don't know if that's a saying or not, but if you're physically hungry, you'll eat anything. But psychological, you want something specific. You have a craving. If I just picked another one, there's no guilt. If you're physically hungry and you eat something, generally speaking, there is no guilt. But when it's emotional eating and you went and had a musibah, you're going to feel guilty about it, and you're going to be like, oh, next time I'll eat well. So there's some things to factor in next time you eat at home when been sitting at home all day. Sleep is a very important factor, and I like that the last talk included sleep. There's two hormones that regulate hunger and satiety. They're called leptin and ghrelin, and these hormones are very impacted by the amount of sleep you have. And if you don't sleep enough, or if you sleep poor, sleep deprived, the hunger hormone is overstimulated, and you end up having really bad food throughout the day. And this is pretty consistent, and it affects your metabolism, and you don't feel good, and your energy is low, and you just have poor food. So really good sleep is part of it. So this is, I guess, if I was to nutshell what is healthy eating, I guess this is the picture that I would use. And this is all of, this is online. It's called the 5 food groups by the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. So we'll just take some time, because this is probably the central aspect of the whole talk, just to understand what healthy eating is, because it's very easy for me to say eat 80% clean, 20% musibah. But if you don't know what the 80% actually means, or what that 20% means, you're going to mix it. It's going to cross over, and you might not do it cleanly. So first things first, healthy eating means balance. It doesn't mean aggressively dieting. It doesn't even mean dieting. It just means having a balance every day and having a little bit of each food group. It means you can have cereal, you can have rice, you can have bread, but you just don't overdo it. And I'll go through portions in a second. But it means you can have grains. You can have vegetables, you can have fruit, you can have dairy, and you can have your protein. Now, when it comes to grains, pretty much the darker and the more seeds, it's better. If you just made a rule, for bread, for example, the darker it is, and with the more seeds, like whole grains, it's better. Because generally speaking, it'll be a lower GI. So GI, if I fast forward, GI is the body's response to carbohydrates. When you have carbohydrates, how quickly it breaks it down into simple sugar. And the longer it takes to break it down to simple sugar, the lower the GI, which is better because it gives your body less opportunity to turn it into fat. It gives you more chance to burn it. So all carbohydrates eventually get broken down into sugar. It's a rule. And there's nothing you can do to avoid it. And that's okay, as long as it's low GI. The problem with having actual sugar is that the GI is like 100. So as soon as you eat it, it's a sugar straight in your body. If you don't use it, it becomes fat. But when you have bread or a bit of rice or wheat bix or oats, for example, even though it'll eventually get broken down into sugar, it has other benefits. Like it's got fiber in it. It's got different minerals in it. More importantly, the carbohydrates don't convert to sugar straight away. It takes a while. And that's okay, because our body's energy source is carbohydrates. It's not an enemy. I think a big perception in modern day culture is carbs are bad. They're not bad. There are bad type. There are unhealthy. There are carbs that are higher in GI and with less nutritional value. And then there are carbs that are lower in GI with more nutritional value. That's what I'm saying. Choose carbs that are lower in GI with higher nutritional value, which is this section here. And then avoid the other ones that we're eating these days. This is the good source of carbohydrates. Fruit also is carbohydrate. It has lots of carbohydrates in it. But fruit, as you know, it's going to have the carbs, but it's going to be packaged full of vitamins and minerals. So it's all very healthy to have. If you wanted a fruit that was very low in sugar, that would be strawberries. They're the lowest out of all of them in sugar. Vegetables. So I guess another thing to point out is, you see the grain section is quite big, and the vegetable section is quite big. And then these sections are a bit smaller, like literally in its physical dimension. It's because how much we should have of these per day. So because carbs are, because, I think it's called an Arabic nashwiyat or something like that, your main source of energy, it's got the biggest portion so that we can have multiple serves throughout the day. So, about 4 to 5 serves per day. And I'll show you how to get the serving size later. But it's a big part of your day, which is the grains. And then the vegetables is just as big or even bigger, which is, broccoli, cauliflower, cucumber, tomato. These things pretty much don't have much calories for the most of them, but they're packed with nutrients and they're packed with fiber. Really good to have. Try and throw it onto every meal if you can. The fruit, the serving size is less, so it's 2 serves per day because of the sugar. That's the only limiting factor, is why we don't have unlimited fruit. It's because the sugar content. But if you want to get away and have more fruit, then have strawberries and blueberries, and any sort of berry is lower in sugar, particularly strawberries. Protein. So protein is important. Protein is the building blocks of your muscles, and they have all these other different impacts in your body. Fish is very healthy. If you were to look at gold standard for eating, it would be Mediterranean diet. And the Mediterranean diet is lots of grains, lots of fruit, lots of vegetables, and lots of seafood, lots of olive oil, nuts, seeds as the protein source, and a little bit of chicken and eggs, but not much, and a little bit of dairy, but not much. So Mediterranean diet, if you want to eat gold standard, it's Mediterranean diet. And what else can I tell you? Yeah, so you can get your protein from fish. That's probably the best source. But you can also get it from vegetable sources. It won't be as high in protein, but it has other benefits. Not much else to say about that. I guess with protein, I guess what we would classify as a healthy type of protein is something that is lean, which means that it doesn't have any visible fat on it. So, for example, red meat in the Mediterranean diet is recommended not often, maybe once a week, something like that. And you wouldn't want any visible fat on it. So you'd want to trim the fat off before you cook it. And anything processed is not good. So as you can see, nothing there is like, there's no salami and mortadella there or any of that jazz. That's all unhealthy. So you don't want any of that type of food. It's all going to you want it lean. And then you obviously want to have the fish, but you want to also have a good portion of vegetable-based protein sources like the chickpeas, the nuts, the lentils, the kidney beans, because these things don't really have any negatives. Whereas, you can make an argument that red meat is not good, which is why it's very limited in the Mediterranean diet. You can make that argument. Some other people would argue against that. Again, it's a little bit controversial because they say it increases the risk of colon cancer if you have too much red meat. And there's lots of controversy back and forth with eggs and things like that. But you don't get any of that controversy with vegetable-based protein. And fish is generally accepted across the board as very healthy. So fish and vegetable-based proteins are your best. Dairy, whatever you do, just make sure it's low fat and low sugar. And I say that in reference to milks and yogurts, because some yogurts, for example, will be low fat, but then they'll also be very high in sugar. So just a natural Greek yogurt is a good place to go. There's one by Chobani. It's called Chobani Greek, and then it has 0.5% fat. It's a light blue. That's a good one to go to. In terms of milks, you don't have to have a dairy milk. You can have an almond milk or a soy milk or an alternative milk. I guess just try and get one that's calcium fortified. If you want cheese, the 2 gold standards for cheese are cottage cheese and ricotta cheese because they're very low in fat and they're reasonably high in protein, particularly cottage cheese. So that's the gold standard. The yellow cheeses are very high in fat. I wouldn't recommend yellow cheeses for anyone, really. Dairy is one of those ones that's a little bit controversial too, and that's why it's not too frequent in the Mediterranean diet. So if you go for dairy, which you should have for the calcium, but just go for, if you have cheese, the cottage or the ricotta are your best options. And then sometimes, which means this is the musiba, this is the 20%, just sometimes, whatever it is, if it's a little bit of alcohol or a little bit of chips or cake or whatever, just not often, just infrequently. And when you cook, try spray your oil to avoid having too much. In terms of your portion plate, so this is how your dinner plate should look like. So half your plate should be salad or vegetables. A quarter of your plate should be that protein source we just spoke about, and then a quarter should be carbohydrates. I guess just the one thing to note here is that half your plate is salad or vegetables, if you have potato or sweet potato, it doesn't come here. Otherwise, you're going to have too much carbs for your dinner. You want to have it here if you have potato or sweet potato as part of your carb intake. Or if you want bread, rice, it's fine. Just put it here. Just make sure it's that low GI type. Let's start that one. These are some low GI carbohydrates. So even low GI carbohydrates, even though they're much better than high GI, if you have too much of it, it's not good either. So even when you have low GI, you have it in moderation. We don't go above, say, 5 serves a day. That's enough. But pretty much these are some low GI choices for bread, multigrain, for rice, basmati. In terms of oats, for example, if you like to have oats, don't have the quick oats, have the rolled oats. The less refined it is, the lower the GI. So I guess some alternatives. So instead of cheese, just a yellow cheese or a feta cheese or anything like that, have cottage or ricotta. In terms of yogurt, if you like flavored, those are 2 good flavored ones, Soleil and For Me, 0 fat options. They have 0 fat options. If you want a plain, which is even better, because there's less preservatives and sweeteners and things like that, go for Chobani or any sort of Greek plain yogurt. If you want to snack on something, go for like fruit is a good option, because fruit, don't forget, like a lot of the fruits have the fiber in the skin of it, and it can help keep you full. Nuts, particularly almonds. You can do like little carrot sticks or vegetable sticks, cucumber sticks, and dip hummus in it. That's a very healthy snack too. You can do like a tin of tuna with a Riveda biscuit. There's lots of different ways to eat healthy. If you are in your 20% time when you want to eat out and you want to know how to make it a little bit better, these are some options, and I'll send this to John so he can just send it to you guys as well if you want. But for example, like if you want to have, let's pick one. Let's say you want to make a burger. Instead of having a burger outside, and you want to make a burger at home, because a burger outside is going to have very high fat meat. It's going to have the yellow type of cheese. It's going to have really heavy sauces, and it's going to be cooked in types of oils that are not healthy either. Make your own burger at home. So if you made a healthy burger at home, and the bun wouldn't be healthy either. So if you made a burger at home, for example, you'd use a multigrain bun, as dark as possible. That's multigrain with seeds in it. You would get the low fat mince from Woolies or Coles. So they go in different berries. You can get the 5-star mince. It's got very low fat. You would use avocado. You'd use lots of salads. And then you could even, if you wanted to use cheese, ideally use like cottage or ricotta. Or if you wanted to use a yellow cheese, then you'd go on low fat. And that would be not healthy, but it's not bad either. It's kind of you're juggling it. You're improving a dish. Instead of being a musiba, you're improving it. And that would, I guess, is a good step forward in the right direction. So just the summary page, so I know I've taken a lot of your time, is that you don't fail at dieting. If you keep failing at a dieting, understand you're doing the wrong type of diet, or generally speaking, diets don't work for you. A lot of people just need to eat healthy and be consistent. The diet will fail you, and that's common. It's not a good place to be in, to diet and fail and diet and fail. It's just you're not doing the right type of eating plan for yourself. So you focus on your health, not diets. Focus on how to feel better, to lose the weight in a healthy way, to exercise better. It might just mean that you start focusing on having more water, which in turn might keep you full more. Focus on more water, focus on sleeping better, which might help your hunger hormones as well, which might mean that you're not overindulging in the wrong foods. It might mean just having a few rules. I mean, some people that I see, I just try and make a couple of rules, which might be just, your rule today is to make sure that you have a piece of fruit every day for the next 4 weeks. Just start making rules to just eat healthy. And then weight loss and those types of things come as a consequence of your healthy lifestyle. So that's your focus. Eat for your health instead of weight loss. Overeating and binge eating are the body's natural responses to starvation, and that's what the body does to protect itself. So if you're not necessarily disciplined, then maybe intermittent fasting is not a good option for you. But if you are disciplined, I think it's a great option. It just depends on where you sit. Dieting can lead to an unhealthy relationship with food. So you want to have a good, positive relationship with food, not a negative one. If you're going through a tough time, there's a few different options. Number one is, instead of taking it out on the food, try to distract yourself, go for a walk, get out of the house. If you have to eat something, you're really craving it, then have something healthy, like go for like berries or a piece of fruit or even a salad or something healthy. Try and avoid the musiba, because you'll feel better for it at the end. If you're consistently getting negative feelings, then treat the cause. Talk to a bona, see a psychologist, do what you have to do to fix the cause, because it won't go away. And another thing I found was that when you work as a group, people achieve much better results. So there is a group, WhatsApp group with Abuna Jonathan and Abuna Yaoub. So if you want to join this group, just message one of them to say, I want to join the diet group. Pretty much, it's just a bunch of people that are all on the journey to eat better and to lose weight and to feel good. And we just send diets every fast. Every time we go into a fast, we send a new diet and everyone does it together. Because it's encouraging when everyone is on the same journey. Or if you don't want to do that, find a friend, just any friend, and start doing a diet, or not diet, start eating healthy with that friend. Go on a journey to eat healthy with that person, and be accountable to each other. Accountability is very underrated. It's very important. When you're accountable to someone, you don't want to let them down, or you don't want to let yourself down, because you're accountable to them. So look at working with someone or in a group. And I'll send this to John to send to you guys if you want it. And thank you. I don't know how to stop sharing. I'm done, John.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. Quickly, there is a few questions, obviously, about the musiba. So most of them about the musibas. Yes. First of all, there is a question about the liver enzymes, ALT and AST. I'm not sure, is it something that you can answer, or is it?
Look, I'll try. Look, generally speaking, it's not healthy to have elevated liver enzymes. I don't know what your body's natural level is, but it's generally speaking, it's a flag. It's something to check out with your GP. There could be an underlying cause for elevated liver enzymes, like fatty liver or something else. So it's definitely something to take to your GP to do blood tests and to see how the doctor wants to treat you. But yeah, you need to work with the GP, because here we're fortunate that the GP is kind of like the hub, and everyone goes to the GP and we get sent to different places. So if the GP says you have fatty liver, for example, then we do a diet for fatty liver. If the GP says you have if it's because of alcohol, then then we work on the alcohol to reduce the liver enzyme. So it depends what the cause is, but everything has to get funneled through your doctor to get the best sort of treatment. But it's not a good thing. It's something you want to get checked out, but it's very individual.
Okay. The next one, it says, from what age we need to watch our kids' weight? Like kids.
So the weight for the kids is not. We don't really work on BMI. We work on your weight for your height. There's the growth charts. So it depends. If you think that that your child's getting a little bit chubby, then see a pediatric dietitian. It's a subspecialty, a pediatric dietitian, and they look at your child's height and they look at their weight and they work out what percentile growth they're on, and they see if it's consistent and if it's in the right place. I think as long as they're growing well and they're eating well and they're exercising regularly, and if you're concerned, again, it has to go to a pediatric dietitian or your GP or your pediatrician. But yeah, keep an eye on it. But as long as they're eating well and they're exercising and they're moving, generally speaking, it's okay. But again, it's very individual.
Mm-hmm. Is the Coke Zero and macaroni bechamel a musiba food?
Yes to both of them. So the Coke Zero is an interesting one. So Coke Zero.
By the way, I'm a heavy Coke Zero drinker.
Yeah. Coke Zero is interesting. So it's definitely not healthy. Let's clear that out. It's not healthy. Yeah. the question is how much of a musiba it is. That's the question. And look, it's not something that's very clear cut. So generally speaking, guidelines say, sweeteners are a safe alternative to sugar, but there's always a consistent pattern of people that have too many sweeteners and struggle with weight loss or struggle to manage their weight. The people that have a lot. If you're just having a can, every couple of days, I would say that's fine. I'd do. But if you're having it every day consistently, it's not healthy enough. I wouldn't consider that as part of your fluid intake. The best things for your fluid are just water in different forms, tea that you can have as well, different types of tea as well, and a coffee in moderation. But Coke and Diet Coke, you're putting chemicals in there, which the gut microbiome is not familiar to. And we know that the gut microbiome impacts lots of different aspects of health. And even if the evidence is not very clear right now, it will be in due time, the fact that I'm sure it has some sort of health implications. Some sweeteners have been linked, like aspartame. Some haven't yet. But generally speaking, they're not healthy enough.
There's another question. What and when to eat before and after training?
It depends. So it depends what you're doing. So if your goal is to, and this is probably a good question for me and Fadi, if your question is if it's to lose weight, I would say after, because you can kind of capitalize on the fact that your body's still in the fasting mode, and the fat loss will be a bit better if your goal is to lose weight. If your goal is to, get stronger, then you'd want to eat before your exercise session so that you have a bit of fuel to fuel the workout. So it depends what your goal is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another one says about are protein supplements bad for athletes? Also, does eating only 3 light, healthy meals a day a good diet?
So we'll talk about protein first. So the protein supplement, the first question is, why do you take it? What's the purpose? Because, a protein supplement per serve is about 30 grams of protein, similar to taking in a 100-gram chicken breast. So the first question is, what's the purpose? Do you actually need it? Can you get it from food? Food is the best source of nutrition as a rule. So if you can get it from fish or chicken breast or something, better to do that. If not, if it's just a matter of you don't have time and you're time poor, then have a protein shake if you need to. In terms of 3 light healthy meals, again, it depends what your goals are. If your goals are to just look after your overall health, but those 3 healthy meals are balanced, so you're getting a bit of salad, vegetables, you're getting some protein in each one, you're getting a bit of fruit, you're getting a little bit of dairy, the right type of dairy. If you're getting a balance and some grains, then that's fine. But if you're not getting enough nutrients in through those 3 healthy meals, then you might look at adding a snack in between.
Okay, and the last question, how to lose the last few kilos of your target? I feel like it's impossible.
It's a very loaded question. So generally speaking, the weight loss happens by a calorie deficit. So whatever your calorie intake is today, let's say you need 1,500 calories to maintain your weight right now. You always have to go on a deficit. You always have to go lower to lose weight. So it's a very broad question. It's nothing that can be answered right now, but you have to go on a calorie deficit to lose the weight. Now, if your calories are too low already, if you're eating burnt food and you can't lose weight, then there's something you have to do called reverse dieting, which means you have to eat in a controlled way to get your basal metabolic rate back up before you try and lose that weight. But generally speaking, it's done by a calorie deficit or just more exercise, because more exercise burns more calories. But very individualized. If you want to have a chat with it, John can give you my number and we can have a chat and just to adjust your personal situation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael, for today. By the way, guys, if you need any Michael's or Fadi's details, please, on the questions, please send your phone number and I will pass it to you guys. See you good, and thank you very much, Michael. It's good to see you. And إن شاء الله دلوقتي نطلع مع فادي. هلو فادي، ازيك؟
هلو جون، ازيك عامل ايه؟
الحمد لله. ثانك يو فيري ماتش. انا شايفك لسه حتى باليونيفورم اهوت لسه.
انا لسه في الشغل
اول
صدقني.
جدائي. ربنا معاك. Thank you very much فادي for joining us today. الحكاية زي ما انت عارف قاعدين في البيت طول الوقت، شغالين من البيت. هل ازاي نقعد؟ انا عن نفسي بستراجل، هل المفروض اقعد على المكتب ولا اقعد انام على السرير باللابتوب ولا اقعد في الكيتشن؟ فيا ريت بقى كده تدينا رناء كده. وبرده لو في حد عنده questions بليز ابعتوا لنا الاسئله. معاك الميكروفون.
تمام، ميرسي يا جون خالص. هو طبعا يعني كلنا دلوقتي عندنا مشكله يعني حتى في شغلي دلوقتي، كنا الاول واحد بيشوف سبورتس انجريز، وبيشوف ناس بعد العمليات، وبيشوف ناس بحوادث عربيات وكده في شغله. دلوقتي كل العيانين اللي بيجوا الفيزيوثيرابي معظمهم بيشتكي من نيك بين، جو بين، هيدك، باك بين. واحنا لقينا في شغلنا معظم بتاعنا نتيجه البين ده نتيجه البوستشر. انا بس قبل ما اتكلم عن البوستشر والسيتنج بوستشر وكده، لما جون كلمني من اسبوع قال لي فادي عايزين نتكلم عن الفيزيوثيرابي والويل بينج، فانا فكرت ايه الحاجه اللي ممكن جينيريك اللي ممكن يعني نستفيد بيها كلنا مع بعض، وانا اتكلم عنها ان احنا ممكن كلنا نستفيد بيها. فالحاجه يعني اللي انا هركز فيها دلوقتي اول بس 10 دقائق، وبعد كده هتكلم على السيتنج بوستشر والالم بتاع النيك والباك. الحاجه اللي اقدر افيدكم كان اكسرسايز از جنرال اكسرسايز احنا ممكن نستخدمه ويفيدنا، هو البريثنج. بالذات دلوقتي احنا عندنا في ناس كتيره بتشتكي من الستريس والبين، ويعني الهوم سكولينج، والماما كل الامهات يعني بيشتكوا دايما من الصداع ومن الدوخه. فلقينا لقيت ان الحاجه اللي ممكن كلنا نستفيد بيها دلوقتي هي ان انا ازاي اقدر امانج ماي بريذنج، ازاي بس شويه بريذنج اكسرسايزز نتعلمها مع بعض النهارده can be very very effective in our life. كنت حضرت المحاضره دي كانت 3 ساعات، انا هحاول الخصها في 10 دقائق، وزي ان شاء الله في اخر 10 دقائق دي ناخد اكسرسايز نستخدمه كلنا هيفيدنا في حياتنا كلها. لما اجي انا اقول ان البريذنج اكسرسايزز I don't mean انك انت عندك مشكله في البريذنج بتاعك، انا مش بقول لك انك انت عندك مشكله، بس انت لو ركزت على البريذنج اكسرسايزز خلال اليوم بتاعك من دقيقتين ل5 دقائق، ده have a lot of effect on your general health. احنا لقينا الناس اللي احنا بنركز معاهم حتى في شغل هنا في العياده عندي هنا، لما بنركز في البريذنج بنلاقي الانسان اللي بيعمل الاكسرسايز ده بيزود الاكسرسايز برفورمانس بتاعته، بيخلي البرفورمانس بتاعه احسن. مايكل وساندي النهارده اتكلموا على السليبنج، والسليبنج ده مهم جدا، بيزود بيخلي الانسان عنده بيتر سليبنج. ثالث حاجه بيقلل البين وبيقلل الدبريشن والستريس. وفي ستاديز كمان طالعه بتقول ان انت بس لو انت اتحكمت في البريذنج وانت يعني هذا بيتر بريذنج بيأثر كمان لو انت عندك irritable bowel syndrome. هقول لكم امثله مثلا، يعني كثير مننا حضر ولاده اولاد وكده، واكيد وانت في الليبر الامهات كلها كل الميد وايف بتقول للام just make sure you deep breathe, you breathe properly, you do deep breathing blah blah blah. طب حد فكر ليه الام لازم تعمل deep breathing exercises while in labor؟ لقينا ان الديب بريذنج اكسرسايز والبريذنج اكسرسايز has a very very good effect على البين مانجمنت وعلى الستريس ليفل. هنتكلم في الموضوع ده بعدين، بس دي حاجه من الحاجات. تاني حاجه، لو احنا اتكلمنا على لو انتوا تعرفوا في حاله اسمها سليب ابنيا. سليب ابنيا دي الناس اللي هي بيبقى عندهم enough oxygen while they sleeping و during the day when they driving وعندهم impaired cognition، تركيزهم ضعيف جدا وهم لان هم بياخدوش enough oxygen while they sleeping. ولقينا كمان ان هم ممكن يناموا وهم سايقين. فقد ايه لو الانسان مش بيتنفس كويس وهو نايم ممكن ياثر على الاكسجينيشن بتاع البرين وبيأثر على البرين فانكشن. فلقينا الانسان اللي يقدر يتنفس كويس، عشان كده بيحطوا لهم السي باب ماشين. لو حد يعرف يعني ايه السي باب ماشين، بتزود الاكسجين اللي رايح للبرين. فقد ايه الانسان بس لو ركز على البريذنج بتاعه بيأثر على البرين فانكشن وبيأثر على الكوجنيشن بتاعه. في حالات كتير لو في ناس عندهم الكرونيك بين بيروحوا للبين مانجمنت كلينيك، والبين مانجمنت كلينيك دي بيبقى فيها مثلا واحد عنده كرونيك شولدر بين، كرونيك نيك بين، كرونيك باك بين، بس كل دول بيتجمعوا في حاجه واحده بس، ازاي الفيزيو اللي هناك بيعلمهم ازاي يعمل breathing exercises to manage the pain و just general exercise to manage the pain. المقدمه دي مهمه جدا. انا عايز اقول للناس قد ايه البريذنج ده مهم جدا في وهاز enough and profound effect on our life. طيب نتكلم شويه عن الميكانكس بتاعت البريذنج. الميكانكس بتاعت البريذنج احنا عارفين ان البريذنج two cycles, inhalation and exhalation. breathing in, breathing out. شهيق زفير. المسلز الاساسيه اللي بتعمل بريذنج اسمه الدايفرام او الحجاب الحاجز، اللي هو بيبقى underneath the ribs، اخر الريبس هنا. دي المسل اللي بتعمل inspiration اسمه الحجاب الحاجز، وعندنا accessory muscle في الانسبيريشن اللي هي البيك مسل، وعندنا الشولدر مسل. المسل اللي بتعمل اكسبيريشن عندنا التابي مسل اللي هي السكس باكس او 8 باكس، والمصريين عندنا كرش، او عندنا الكور مسل. دول كلهم بيعملوا الاكسبيريشن. طيب هنعمل شويه سيلف اسسمنت مع بعض كده. انا عايزك كل واحد يسال نفسه لما بيجي بيتنفس، is he a nose breather or is he a mouth breather؟ احنا عارفين طبعا من واحنا يعني صغيرين عرفنا ان النفس هو بيخش من المناخير. he takes a bit of a time to goes to the lung. during that time النفس نفسه بيحصل له humidification، بيبقى warm، بيبقى كويس قوي لللنج. فبليز لو انت mouth breather try to change this habit وخليك nose breather because it's better to breathe from the nose. تاني حاجه وعايزين نخلي بالنا من الهابت دي، هل انت بتستخدم الدايفرام for breathing ولا بتستخدم your chest for breathing و your shoulders؟ كتير قوي انا بشوف من العيانين هنا بالذات الناس اللي عندها stress و anxiety بيجي يتنفس دايما بيتنفس من صدره، ما بيتنفسش من الدايفرام. والناس دي تيجي تقول لهم يعني تعال نغير النفس، تعال نغير. اول ما تيجي تغير النفس البين بيقل، الرقبه بتقل، الدوخه بتقل. marvelous recovery just by not even touching them. طيب نعرف منين ان انا اذا كنت بتنفس من صدري او بتنفس من الدايفرام؟ تيست بسيط خالص. your right hand on the top of your chest, left hand on the top of diaphragm, and I want you just breathe and see what's moving. If your chest is moving forward, you're using your chest and your upper traps to breathe. If you're moving your diaphragm, this is a proper way of breathing. So all I want you to practice just a normal breathing to try to make sure that diaphragm is moving forward and backward. So you open your cylinder, not pushing forward. احنا بنتنفس حوالي من 20 ل 25,000 breath per day. تخيل لو انت بتتنفس 25,000 مره عمال بتعمل كده، اكيد you're gonna have a neck pain, you're gonna have an upper shoulder pain, and you're gonna have headache as well. So all I want you to practice on, do this. Just breathing forward and backward, diaphragm. لو انت you struggle to do it properly, lie on the bed, just a dumbbell or a weight or even your phone, put on the top of diaphragm, and then make sure that the mobile is moving up and down, not your chest. As simple as that. And that's enough as a practice on a daily basis. You're gonna improve your breathing. طيب هناخد دلوقتي شويه عرفنا دلوقتي اهميه البريثنج، عرفنا ايه الباد الهابتس اللي بنعملها اللي احنا ممكن نغيرها ان احنا نعدل من البريثنج بتاعتنا. احنا عرفنا ان البريثنج ممكن ياثر على البين، ياثر على الستريس، ياثر على البرفورمانس بتاع الاكسرسايز بتاعتي، ياثر على السليبنج، وياثر على الكوجنيشن، على التفكير بتاعي. فانت لو حتى انت يعني you're not working from home or you're working from outside, you're going through a stressful time with COVID, this exercise is going to help you to manage the pain and manage the stress and even improve your performance as if you want to تعمل exercise. هتكلم شويه بس على سيستم عندنا في البين والانكزايتي اسمه السمباثيك نيرفس سيستم. السمباثيك نيرفس سيستم ده لو احنا في خطر جاي او في pain هيحصل، السمباثيك نيرفس سيستم ده بيبقى very anxious و very alert. بيعمل ايه؟ بيخلي البلس ريت بيعلى قوي وبيخلي النفس عالي قوي. احنا بنتنفس في الدقيقه between 12 to 20 breath per minute، يعني من 12 ل 20 breath per minute. ولما الانبوت او لو اي ستيمولس بتزيد ممكن يعلي النفس ده بطريقه عاليه جدا، يخلي الانسان يعلى قوي ويخلي الهارت ريت ويخلي النفس بتاعه يعلى قوي. ببساطه خالص to control the pain and to control the stress, the idea is desensitize the sympathetic nervous system ان انا اقلل البريث بتاعي. فمعنى ايه ان انا اقلل البريث؟ بدل ما بتنفس من 12 ل 20 breath per minute انا بحاول اخليهم من 6 to 8 breath per minute. So it's just simple exercise ان انا اقلل عدد النفس بتاعي، ولو انا عملت كده انا اتحكمت في الستريس واتحكمت في البين. فالاكسرسايز اللي احنا عايزين نبراكتس مع بعض النهارده اسمه 2 2 4 2 2 2 4 2. ده مش فريق كوره، ده حاجه، ده اكسرسايز نعمله مع بعض ان احنا نتحكم في النفس بتاعنا. ف2 is وانا باخد نفس 2 seconds. I hold the 2 seconds for another 2 seconds. When I exhale, when I يعني ما اعمل زفير, I exhale for 4 seconds. So you just prolong the exhalation for 4 seconds and then hold for another 2 seconds and repeat this cycle 5 times. خلاص؟ فتلاقي نفسك انك انت in a minute we've done about 5 to 6 breathing cycle, that's enough for the pain. لو انت practice that on a daily basis twice a day, 2-3 minutes a day, twice a day, this is, you're going to find the stress level is down, your pain is going to be down. طيب ايه ممكن بعد كده؟ ممكن another exercise on top of that, instead of 2-2-4-2 ممكن اعمل 2-4-2-4. اخد نفس 2 and exhale for 4 seconds, and then another 2 for 4 seconds. So it's gonna make the breathing between 8 to 10. فاحنا بالنسبه للناس دي بنقول لهم straight away try to progress yourself from 4 second to 6 second exhale after the 2 second inhale. برضه ده بيقلل البين، بيقلل الستريس، بيقلل الانكزايتي. باي ذا واي الاكسرسايز ده بيستخدموه كتير قوي حتى في المارينز، ابي الباتل، او حتى لو حد بيعمل بابليك سبيكينج بيعمل البريذنج اكسرسايز ده، ولقيناه كمان زي ما انا قلت قبل كده بيقلل البين وبيقلل الستريس. وحتى الامهات وهم داخلين على البريذنج دايما بيبراكتس البريذنج. دي انا حاجه قلت انا اشارككم بيها نقدر كلنا نستخدمها مع بعض، بالذات في الوقت الصعب ده. متاكد خالص ان هو هيقلل الستريس وهيقلل البين. لو انت عندك كرونيك بين، نيك بين، باك بين، ني بين، حتى لو انت بتعمل اكسرسايزز، لو انت بتروح تجري او بتروح تتمشى وعندك ني بين او هيب بين او باك بين، try this exercise before going for a run. Try these breathing exercises and hopefully that will manage your pain to the limit. It's not gonna يعني treat your pain, but it's going to manage your pain by decrease the sensitivity of your sympathetic nervous system, and you're going to be able to manage your pain so you can perform better exercises. دي أول حاجة أنا كنت عايز أتكلم فيها النهاردة. تاني حاجة بالنسبة للsitting posture والناس اللي بتشتكي من ألم في رقبتها والألم في ظهرها. انا هقول لكم على الحاجات اللي احنا دايما المعتاده اللي احنا بنشوفها غلط، واللي انت لو انت شايف الحاجات دي انت بتعملها غلط please try to correct it. اول حاجه لو انت بتشتغل from home وبتشتغل على لابتوب you have to have يعني a wireless pad. يعني you can't have your wrist resting on the laptop. We have a lot of people now coming with tennis elbow. We have a lot of people now coming with carpal tunnel syndrome, which is النيرف اللي بيعدي من الكف بتاعك للصابع بيحصل له impingement، ونتيجه ال too much typing بيحصل tennis elbow. So please have a wireless mouse عشان خاطر ما يبقاش ايدك على اللابتوب. ويا ريت لو انت تقدر، لو انت بتشتغل في اللابتوب يا ريت to get a better screen. We've seen a lot of people because to come closer to the laptop you have to nod the head forward to see the font. Please get a better screen and bigger font so you don't have to focus your eyes. احنا عندنا دلوقتي ناس كتير بتشتكي من eye وheadache فبليز dizziness. فبليز try to get a bigger screen, bigger font is going to help your eyes. يعني it's going to help your neck a lot. لو عندك two screens, please make sure they're closer to each other. Don't make them on the side of the desk. Make them closer to each other so you don't have to turn right and left. Right and left. You're gonna have issues in the side of the neck if you keep doing that. Make them as close as possible. نخلي بالنا كمان الفترة اللي فاتت دي أنا بقيت أشوف أطفال كتير عندهم صداع ونيك بين وجو بين كمان، يعني ناس كتير قوي عندها جو بين، وده نتيجة إن الأطفال كتير بيقعدوا كده على الايباد، حتى بنسميه دلوقتي ايباد syndrome. يقعد على الايباد and he nod his head forward and that closed what we call a C1, and this C1 affect the jaw and they have all jaw issues and clenching the jaw and a lot of tightness of the front muscle. فبليز be careful. لما تلاقي ابنك قاعد كده اهو straight away push his back up. I can, if you see me from there, if I just relax my core, my head will go forward. And if I straight away my back, my neck is going to go to the side of my shoulder. So please encourage your son. If he wanted to play an iPad or iPhone, you put it on the desk, you sit properly, proper pillows behind the back, and you sit up properly while you're playing. I don't want to see this, because today I've just seen 2 kids. One had 11 years old, one is 13 years old, from headache and neck pain. خلي بالنا هيحصل degeneration في النك in the early stages of their life. كنا الأول بنشوف ال HSC student عندهم المشاكل دي، دلوقتي الموضوع بقى أكتر كمان، بنشوف 11 و 10 سنين عندهم مشاكل. فبليز نخلي بالنا. لو أنت بتشتغل في البيت please it's not a right posture to do work على السرير. السرير is not a place to do work. Please find yourself a proper desk. هيحصل لك دلوقتي، احنا اتكلمنا عن مشاكل في الرقبه is gonna affect your pelvis and you're gonna get a low back pain. When you are working from home, the worst position you can do for your pelvis is sitting. So we call it a long sitting, because your pelvis under a lot of pressure, and you get a lot of people coming with a pelvic pain and عندهم مشاكل في الهيب at the front. نتيجة بيحصل hip impingement. So please, you have to sit on a proper chair, roll up a towel, put it on the lumbar spine and the curve في الباك. حطه هنا. لو رجليك a bit more lower to your hip, try to make your knee in your level of your back. So your knee in your level of your hip. So put a stool underneath your feet, so your knee gonna be in your level of your hip. دي أهم حاجة في البوزيشن بتاعك وأنت لو شغال في البيت. Please prepare your schedule. Maximum is to do 1 hour, and you have to change your position. And even in the spot, just go for a bit of walk on the spot, just to stretch. الجو الأيام دي حلو خالص، لو قدرت تمشي ساعة كل يوم يبقى جميل خالص. وبعد في جنرال اكسرسايز نعملها، بس انا يعني مش هقول الجنرال اكسرسايز دي، لان انا يعني محتاجه تكون يعني individual، عشان انا ما اقدرش ادي اكسرسايز عامه. عشان كده اتكلمت على البريثنج، ده ممكن كلنا نعمله، لكن انا مش هقدر اتكلم عن الاكسرسايز unless يعني لو حد عنده مشكله نقدر نتكلم عليها، لان انا يعني انا ما اعرفش الهيستوري بتاع كل واحد قد ايه. اتمنى يعني ان انا اكون فدتكم شويه، ونفتكر 2 2 4 2 ونفتكر 2 4 و 2 6، ونفتكر أهمية البريذنج، وإزاي لو أنا عندي ستريس أو عندي pain إزاي just by breathing, practice breathing during the day can affect that. وإزاي عرفت إزاي إن أنا أقدر أتنفس مظبوط، إن أنا أستخدم الdiaphragm, not my chest, not my shoulder when I'm breathing, especially under a lot of stress and tension وماما وبابا بيذاكروا from home. Please نبتدي نستخدم diaphragmatic breathing, that's gonna help. ونعمل الاكسرسايز ده، ونخلي بالنا واحنا قاعدين، نخلي بالنا على اولادنا والبوستشر بتاعهم. وبليز انا نمرتي مع مايكل، لو انت عندك personalized issue وعايز تتكلم فيها وعايز تاخد فيزيو راي، بليز يعني feel free to call me at any time ولا send me a message. وميرسي خالص من حبيتكم، ميرسي انكم كنتوا سمعتوا لي.
Thank you very much فادي. انا موضوع البريذنج تيست انا كده طول عمري بتنفس غلط يا فادي.
ايوه صدقني انا المحاضره دي انا سمعتها يمكن من فتره، وابتديت استخدمها حتى في شغل مع العيانين بتوعي، ولقيت حتى يعني من just without hands on treatment ولا حاجه I can make a difference by just teaching the patient. النهارده حصل كده، يعني عيان he wasn't able to bend forward and just by just correcting his breathing العيان يعني suddenly went below his knee just by decrease an anxiety level, decrease his يعني التنشن بتاع السمبثيك نيرف سيستم بتاعه، بالذات الناس اللي عندهم chronic pain. he was ايه ده؟ that's a miracle. I'm gonna tell my husband. I'm gonna
اوكي.
انا يعني
ده في النهارده في واجب بقى لازم نقعد نعمله كده في الويك اند الجاي ده. ميرسي جدا يا فادي. في كده شويه اسئله بسرعه. اول سؤال: while I'm doing my exercises I lose my breath. I don't have sleep apnea and I'm not overweight.
حلو. لوك، لو انت فعلا انا عايز اعرف الهيستوري بتاع اللي بيسال السؤال ده، بس لو انت فعلا بيحصل لك losing your breath while doing exercises, please go to your GP and check it. ودي حاجه كنت المفروض انا اقولها. لو انت بتعمل التمارين اللي انا علمتها لك وحسيت انك انت بيحصل لك ممكن تحصل لك ديزنس او بيحصل لك انك انت حسيت انك انت مش متظبط وكده، you definitely have breathing issues. please يعني يا اما ترجع لنا تاني ويرجع لي تاني يتكلم معايا في الموضوع ده، يا اما يروح يشوف الجي بي بتاعه، يشوف اللنج كاباسيتي ويشوف الهارت ويشوف اللنج، وده محتاج ان هو يشوف الجي بي طبعا ويتشيك. please this is not something that you should leave.
في سؤال بيتهيألي انت جاوبته بس برضه يعني تاتش كده عليه. because of working from home via computer that's affect my shoulder, how I can sit in a correct way to avoid shoulder pain.
طيب بص، هو الفكره كلها في الشولدر بين. لو انت بصيت عليا وانا قاعد، ناس كتيره بتبقى قاعده كده، تمام؟ الايرز in front of the shoulder. The idea is the ears has to be in line with the shoulder. So just if I have something to support me, I didn't move my neck, did I? Then the ears straight away come to my shoulder length. That's gonna decrease the strain on your neck muscles. احنا بنسميها traps muscle والlevator scapula. These muscles الستريس قل عليهم، لان انا وانا بروح فورورد all المسلز اللي جايه هنا ورايحه للرقبه under a lot of tension. لما رجعتها التنشن قل. لو البوستشر نفسه it didn't affect your and the pain is still happening, please seek advice and go and see the physio. You might have what we call an impingement in the shoulder. We need to get it looked at properly. بس معظم الحاجات احنا بنلاقي الناس اللي بتقعد كده بيحصل strain للشولدر ماسل، once in the correct posture الموضوع بيتحسن.
في سؤال تاني: does sitting on the exercise ball instead of a chair help؟
حلو طبعا. بالنسبه للناس اللي عندهم باك بين، دايما بريكومند ان هم يقعدوا على الاكسرسايز بول. طبعا تكون properly يعني your size will fit you properly و blow up properly. الفكره من ان انا بقعد على الاكسرسايز بول ان انا بشتغل على كور ماسلز، لان الاكسرسايز بول a bit wobbly. فstraight away the stabilizers or your core muscle has to work to stabilize you. فالتامي العضلات بتاعت البطن بتشتغل، عضلات الظهر بتشتغل، فستابلايز يور باك. فلو انت عندك باك بين we really recommend exercise ball, but make sure it's your size. Make sure you're sitting, you've been told how to sit on it properly. So ما ينفعش اقعد على exercise ball ولا let go برضه. You have to sit properly on the exercise ball. Always feel tall. Always we tell the patient lengthen through your spine. يعني تخيل كده ان ربنا ماسك شعرك وبيطلعك لفوق. But always make sure you're tall, lengthen through your spine, sit on the ball, and we'll do the work.